British politics or any type of politics is difficult to understand, especially if you are not a political scientist. But we have to understand why Liz Truss has become the next British Prime Minister and why Rishi Sunak has become the butt of all jokes. I mean, Rishi Sunak was a front runner. That's what they said. And at one stage, he actually beat Liz Truss and everybody else. But how has it become to this? I mean, now we have Liz Truss as the next British Prime Minister. But now we are starting to forget who Rishi Sunak is. So this video, let me introduce myself. My name is Elsojini and I will be diving deep into why Liz Truss has become the next British Prime Minister. Let me start by saying that it is said that Rishi Sunak is a very, very smart person. I mean, I think they say he's smarter than Boris Johnson. Because remember, they portrayed Boris Johnson as a dumb person or as a clown. I mean, even after the time he resigned, look at the cover of The Economist. It had him flying off a parachute, and then the headline was Clown Fall. So, I mean, we have a person who's smarter than Boris Johnson. Because I mean, what they want here, the British politicians, especially the Conservative Party, they want a smarter person. But well, let's not get into his smartness, Rishi Sunak's smartness and all that stuff. What's important here is how do they elect a new leader? I mean, the party leader who's going to become the prime minister of their nation. So this is how it works. There are a few rounds that happen. First, it's not everybody who vote in the first few rounds. It's only the members of parliament. Those are the ones that are allowed to vote. So there were many candidates for PM, for the Conservative Party leadership position. I mean, there were other names like Jeremy Hunt, Penny Mordaunt. So the battle wasn't only about Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak. There were many of them, maybe 10. There were other women, there were other people of color, if you can call it that. I guess there were about 3 or 4. There were even black people, black women who were in the position. So we should also focus on that and remember that the battle for the leadership of the Conservative Party was not only about these two people. So in order for the candidate to get to the next round, to the next vote, I mean, they had to get about 30 votes, or is it 30 seats? Remember, I'm not a political scientist, I'm just a political commentator. So the other candidate, they were failing to get those 30 votes from the members of parliament. So then as they failed to get those votes, then they dropped out of the leadership race. And then at some point, I guess we had 3 of them. Remember, we also had Penny Mordaunt, because Penny Mordaunt was like the third runner-up. And at some point, they were not talking about Liz Truss as the front runner. They were actually saying Penny Mordaunt might become the next British Prime Minister. But she came out at number 3. So my main point at this juncture is to show you that there were different votes, many rounds, if you will. And then there was one round where Rishi Sunak actually had more votes than Liz Truss and the other contenders. But I might be wrong about this, I should say. But I believe that's what happened, that at some point he actually had more votes. But remember, this wasn't the final round, so it didn't count as the overall round. There was another round, the final round. I guess we have to answer, why did Rishi Sunak at some point had more votes than Liz Truss? Not in the final round, in one of these earlier votes. It comes back to my point, or my feeling, that the British MPs, they love Rishi Sunak. Remember what we said earlier on in the video. I said that Rishi Sunak is a smart man, is a smart person, better than Boris Johnson, if you will, in terms of his academic ability. Because remember, a PM position and a party leadership position, it's an academic position. you really have to be into it. You don't have to be like Boris Johnson, because they say he was more in love with the fact that he was a prime minister, not more in love with the actual nitty-gritties of doing the actual work of running a party, of running a country. So the British MPs, conservative MPs, they saw in Rishi Sunak somebody who is different, or somebody who was different to Boris Johnson. And these MPs, if it was up to them, I'm sure they would have chosen Rishi Sunak as the next PM. So these are the people who have worked with Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak. They know them better. They know their capabilities, and I guess you can also talk about their emotions. And so these MPs did not have the final say. It's about the 140,000 conservative members that had the final say. And you can say that these 140,000 conservative members, they think differently to the MPs, to the members of parliament, to those who work around Liz Truss, Boris Johnson, Rishi Sunak, Jeremy Hunt, and the like. They think differently. We can see what happened here. Ordinary conservative members, they don't like Rishi Sunak. That's let's not mince our words here, because let's not lie about it. I mean, Rishi Sunak was dangerously close here for a person of color. I mean, this is like a white country. We shouldn't forget about that. You know, it's a Western nation, white leaders, and this is a person of color. That's not to say a person of color will not one day become the PM, but I guess at this point in their history, in their political history, the British are not ready to accept a person of color as their leader. Rishi Sunak, like I'm saying, was dangerously close, and we have seen now the characteristic of the British people. They'd rather go into their comfort zone, if you will. Electing Liz Truss as their next leader, as their next prime minister, was them falling into their comfort zone. But I'm not saying here that them falling into their comfort zone is a bad thing. No, that's not what I'm saying. It might be a good thing, it might be a bad thing, but I'm not there to commentate on that. I'm just saying what happened. I'm just observing what might be a fact or an opinion from me. Here's the thing. I mean, the British have never elected a person of color as their leader or as their prime minister, but they've elected women before. Actually, 2 women have previously been leaders. I'm talking about Theresa May. That's how they call it, Theresa May. And the other one before that, the first one, I guess, was Margaret Thatcher. I mean, she's like the hallowed women leader that they've had, and they've sort of done well if you compare them to other countries. For example, America. In America, they had a chance to elect Hillary Clinton, but they went for Obama and Donald Trump. Those are the people that they chose. So it's their comfort zone. So you can say, at least in the past 10 years or in the past decade, the British people have elected 2 women as their leaders. So I mean, them choosing Liz Truss might seem like it's falling into their comfort zone, but it's more progressive, I would say.